All right, today we are pulling back the curtain on the music industry. And I'm not talking about the stage lights or the sold-out shows. We're getting into the stuff they really hope you ignore, the business side. Because honestly, understanding this isn't just about your career. It's about owning your entire future. So let's kick things off with the one moment every single artist is dreaming of.
You know the scene. It's late, your phone buzzes, and it's the call. A record label. They're talking about an advance. And in that moment, you feel like you finally made it. This is when everything is supposed to change, right?
Well, for one artist, that dream call was actually the beginning of a trap. A trap she would spend the next 7 years fighting to get out of. Because what they offer you in that moment of pure excitement and what's actually written down in that contract, they can be two terrifyingly different things.
To really get why that happens, we have to start with the single most important concept in the entire music business. You see, every song you write, it isn't one thing, it's two. And understanding this difference is what determines where every single dollar goes.
Okay, so first up, you've got the master copyright. Think of this as the finished product. It's the actual audio file, the MP3, the WAV file. It's the thing people are streaming on Spotify or hearing in a movie. It's that specific performance that you recorded.
And then you have the publishing copyright. This is the intellectual property. It's the song itself, the words you wrote down, the melody you came up with. It's basically the blueprint of the song. And that blueprint can be used by anyone in all sorts of ways.
So how big of a deal is this in the real world? Well, let's look at Marcus and Keisha. They both got their songs featured in the same hit Netflix show. Huge win for both of them. But because Marcus owned his publishing rights, he walked away with $150 grand. Keisha? She made $8,000. Same show, same opportunity, but a completely different outcome, all because of who owned the song's blueprint. Okay, so let's blow this out and see how it really impacts a career over time. We're going to follow two artists, we'll call them Alex and Jordan, and we'll watch how one single choice at the very beginning of their journeys sends them down two completely different paths. All right, so Alex, he takes the deal. I mean, who wouldn't? He gets a nice advance, but in exchange, he signs away ownership of his master recordings and a big chunk of his publishing. Jordan, on the other hand, decides to bet on himself. He stays independent, he puts in his own money, and he keeps 100% of everything he creates.
So let's fast forward 5 years. Alex has 50 million streams, a huge success by any measure. But what's his financial reality? He's actually in debt to his label for $12,000. See, that big advance, it wasn't a gift, it was a loan. A loan he has to pay back from his tiny little share of the royalties. So after all that work, he is literally in the red.
And Jordan, with way fewer streams, he's earned over $130,000. Why? Because he owns everything. He controls his business, he licenses his music for TV, and every penny comes back to him. This just shows you the raw, unbelievable power of ownership.
So how in the world does this happen? Well, it's all buried deep in the legal language of the contracts, in clauses that are written to be confusing because they are counting on you to either not read them or just not understand them. Let's look at a couple of these traps.
You might be flipping through a contract and find a sentence just like this one, probably buried somewhere on page 47. Works made for hire. It sounds harmless, right? Just some boring corporate jargon. But what this phrase actually means is absolutely devastating for an artist.
What this really means is you didn't sell your music to the label, no. Legally speaking, it means you never even owned it to begin with. The label is considered the author, the creator, from the second the song exists, and that means you can never ever get it back. It's theirs, forever.
And then you've got the infamous 360 deal. Okay, look at Tyler. His music, his tours, his merch, the whole shebang generated $800,000 in 1 year. That's a massive success. But his 360 partnership deal means the label gets a cut of everything, leaving him with just this tiny sliver of the pie.
But here's the final twist. That $127,000, that wasn't even his to keep. First, that money had to go towards paying back his original advance. So after his art generated nearly $1 million, Tyler's actual take-home pay for the entire year was just $54,000. The label? Yeah, they pocketed well over $500,000. Look, this isn't just about avoiding traps and bad deals. It's about building something that actually lasts. And the real key to building long-term generational wealth in music, it isn't the master recording, it's the publishing. I want you to think about this story. Two grandmothers, both write songs back in the 80s. One of them holds on to her publishing rights. The other one sells hers for a quick $5,000 payout. Decades go by. Then years after they're both gone, the first family is inheriting a fortune from royalties. The second family? They inherit nothing. A single decision that echoed for generations.
You know, publishing isn't the sexy part of the business. It doesn't feel that important when you're young and someone is dangling a big check in your face. But publishing is the asset that pays you forever. Every single stream, every cover version, every time it's used in a TikTok video, it's the gift that just keeps on giving. To you and to your family long after you're gone.
So, what does this all boil down to for you? It means that knowledge isn't just power, it's protection. Let's distill everything we've just talked about into 4 simple rules for your career. Okay, these are the 4 rules that can literally change your future. Number 1, know your copyrights. Master versus publishing. That's the entire game. Number 2, do the math. Remember, an advance is not a lottery win. It is a loan, and your future is the collateral. 3, read everything. And get a lawyer to read it too, because one sentence can cost you millions. And finally, number 4, own your legacy. The master recordings might make you famous, but it's the publishing that builds a fortune.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, it all comes down to this one question. Your answer is going to determine every single business decision you make from here on out. So choose wisely, and make sure you choose informed.